Sometimes in life, you find yourself on the right side of the line.
If you had a mullet, it would be out of business in the front and party in the back.
Sorry about tomorrow.
What's the point of the wife beater?
Live from Texas, this is the Dryline Farmer Podcast. You hear that? It's Brent and Landon, and this is the Dryline Farmer Podcast.
Oh, sorry, that's the wrong mythical creature. I think I just saw him last week. But hey guys, this is Brent Carlson, and this is the Dryline Farmer Podcast. And with me, as always, my number one co-host, Landon. Landon, what's going on in the world of grain merchandising?
Oh, not much. It's pretty slow right now.
Is there
kind of shipping grain?
Is anybody ever asked a grain merchandiser what's going on, and has there ever a response ever been, "Oh, not much"? Has it ever been anything other than that? Because I mean, you're not actually a grain merchandiser, but you're yeah.
No, I'm just a lowly bookkeeper.
A lowly book. Well, I would give you a little more credit than that. Come on, man. I mean, geez. But no, sounds like Landon's doing great and doing great at his job. But yeah, guys, this is, like I said, the Dryline Farmer Podcast. This is the Global Ag Network that we're a part of, and we're going to go ahead and get that out of the way. We've got all kinds of places you can find us. That's Google Play, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, of course. And I'm going to tweet out the episode link on Twitter at Trader Brent, and Landon will probably retweet it at what?
No Twit Landon 44.
No Twit Landon 44 is right. I'm glad you got that correct this time. Well, guys, it's an interesting time, and it's always great to get off in a little fantasy when we can from time to time in the time of COVID. And let's see how many times I can say time before the first 3 minutes of this episode is out. But Landon, any interesting or scary sightings or encounters that you've had in your life over these last however many years?
Oh man, let me think on that.
And midgets don't count. So
you tell your story. Let me think on that for a bit.
I don't have a story. Although the last 2 nights in a row, right after bedtime, our 10-year-old has come back in our room and asked us if there are any snakes in the house. So apparently we've got a sleepwalker on our hands, because the last 2 nights in a row, about 20 minutes after he supposedly falls asleep, he comes and asks us if there's any snakes in the house. And our house is, it wasn't made in the 21st century, but it was made not too long ago. And it's pretty tight, so we don't really have any snakes, bull snakes, rattlesnakes, or any of that type of reptile get into the house other than moths. We have the moth apocalypse in May, but other than that, it's pretty stout and stable house. So, we've had 10-year-old sightings the last 2 nights, but it's a pretty quick, and it comes to a pretty quick resolution. We just send that little Sasquatch back to bed. So, no, I've never had, I can't say I've had anything where I thought I saw a UFO or I thought I saw a monster. Other than nightmares, it's been a pretty, I think, and we'll get into this, because we're talking Bigfoot this week. But it looks like Bigfoot is synonymous with any place that has more than one tree per square mile, like the Texas Panhandle does. Because I guess that's just because they can hide behind them. I don't know. But so yeah, we're gonna get into Bigfoot now. Have you come up with anything, Landon? Have you come across any memories?
The craziest thing I've ever seen, and you probably won't believe this, but it did happen. And this wasn't really scary. It was just very shocking. So one year, I was probably 7 or 8. We got just this huge rain.
No, I don't. Atlanta, I don't believe that.
yeah, it was crazy.
I don't believe
so anyway,
that.
So we were down from the International House. You have that draw, with a creek.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Okay, so we're down there. It's me, my dad, and my brother. We're just watching this creek run. I mean, it's tons of water. So we're sitting there for maybe 20 minutes, kind of just watching it, talking.
Look at the water.
All of a sudden, a fish hops up and back in the water.
Yeah, they'll do that.
This creek is dry, though. This creek doesn't have water in it. So,
okay.
We always thought nobody would ever believe that, but I think the old Kirsten place had water, had like a little pond that goes in the creek, and he always had fish down there. So maybe it was one of those.
That back west to Old Man Williams' place.
Yeah, you turn back by the old creek.
Yeah,
the old stump road. No, but that was probably the craziest thing I ever saw. There's another time I thought I saw a bobcat on my grandmother's place, but before I could get up there, it was in the corn. Probably a coyote, but it didn't look like a coyote. The tail looked long and thin, like real long.
I'm surprised you don't say coyote.
No, mountain lion, not a bobcat. It looked like a mountain lion because it had a long tail.
Yeah.
I always say coyote.
I didn't know I didn't know you went that way. But well, yeah. No, probably the rarest animal I've seen here is bald eagle. I've seen them maybe twice, 2 or 3 times ever, the whole time I've lived here, which is forever. So, and they stand out. I mean, they are a lot bigger. We have a lot of these. What are they? Red-tailed hawks, Landon, or I don't know what you call them exactly.
Oh yeah, you get plowing, you'll have like 40 of them.
Oh yeah, but are they red-tailed hawks?
I don't know. I just know they're always judging how crooked I'm plowing.
Just wait. They're just waiting. Do they ever land on your tractor and wait for you to turn something over? And you like plow under a big weed and it exposes this poor family of rabbits, and they just freaking demolish these rabbits by starting by piercing their eyes out of their skull. Yeah, it's but you don't want to. But the tech game's on, so you don't want to lose it.
The eyes are the testicles of the face.
I've never heard that. I always heard that. Oh, because I've always heard the eyes are the windows to the soul. Yeah. The testicles to the face. Yeah, I mean, if you do get poked in the eye, it kind of does feel like a nut shot. So
that's what Dwight Schrute says when they go to Ithaca.
Yeah.
Or Utica.
Utica. Yeah.
I have to do something to his eyes.
And if you touch a hair on Stanley's head, we'll burn Utica to the ground.
Just take her to a hotel, climb on top of her, and think of Stanley.
Stanley, your heart sucks and you crush your wife during sex. Boom, roasted. Oh, well. So we came across this couple maps here of Bigfoot reported location. And it's pretty synonymous with the landscape of where these places are found. And this guy at PR Ranch, his I don't know what you call it. It's not his handle, but he's King of Boggle. I've never been a boggler. That's I guess that was always a little above my head or over my head. So but he's kind of the one to thank for this. So we're going to get into Bigfoot sightings. We've actually got a sponsor this week. It's it's Richard Dingleberry's Nuts and hardware store. Sorry, I forgot the last part of it, but Richard Dingleberry's Nuts hardware store. It was nuts and bolts, and they had to cancel off the bolts part. But so he's going to bring us a little message here, and he bought some airtime, and we're going to have that, and then it's Bigfoot time on the Dryline Farmer Podcast.
Yeah. Hey everybody, Richard Dingleberry here for Richard Dingleberry's Nuts and Bolts Hardware Store. We are not only a nuts and bolts kind of place, we've got all your plumbing needs. We've got male fittings, female fittings. We've also got closed nipples, 2-inch nipples, 3-inch nipples, all the way out to a 6-inch nipple. You try saying that in a big city and see what kind of look on your face you'll get from them city slickers that don't like to hear words like male, female, and nipple. Richard Dingleberry's Nuts and Bolts Hardware Store. Open Tuesdays through Wednesdays every other month. Richard Dingleberry's Nuts and Bolts Hardware Store.
All right, Richard. Thanks for that. Thanks for that sponsorship time. We really appreciate it when you entrepreneurs get in here and really show the world how the world works. So how everything goes. Well, guys, it's time for a little Bigfoot. I don't know what kind of music I'm going to have to play here, but it's some kind of, I don't know, X-Files / Unsolved Mysteries, something that spooks people into get you into the mood. So we don't get people into the mood that many times on scary subjects. Not that we're going to make this scary or anything, but I mean, after all, we are talking Bigfoot and things that probably don't exist. But nonetheless, here we go. It's Bigfoot on the Dryline Farmer Podcast. All right, so we've got our Bigfoot report locations up. I got my map here, and so before we go any further, we're going to delve into what Wikipedia has to say about Bigfoot. Now, Bigfoot, I'm going to try to see where the first time a quote Bigfoot sighting or some kind of similar sighting was first originated. So the origin of the Bigfoot named. And let me tell you something. Before I even get into the origin of Bigfoot, of the Bigfoot name, do we really need more than a one-sentence description of how the Bigfoot name came about? I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory of why Bigfoot is named Bigfoot. But I digress. So the name Bigfoot first gained renown by a Wyandot chief with that nickname in the 1830s, who derived his name from the immense size of his feet. Dun, dun, dun! His height...
You know what they say about big feet.
Yeah, they got big shoes. His height considerably exceeded 6 feet, and his strength was represented as Herculean. Later in the 19th century, Lakota leader Spotted Elk was also called Chief Bigfoot. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, at least 2 enormous marauding grizzly bears. I didn't know grizzly bears could maraud. That's interesting. I've seen.
They can also climb faster than they can run.
I've seen frolicking polar bears, but I've never seen a marauding grizzly bear. But these marauding grizzly bears were widely noted in the press and each nicknamed Bigfoot. So wouldn't it be Big Feet? But I guess not.
You'd think so.
This may have been.
Grant, before we get too far into this, do you believe in Bigfoot?
Why not? I mean, why not? We got to believe in something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's Jesus. We've got that. I mean, we've got that settled, okay? But I mean, Bigfoot. You come on, man. It's like Kevin said. You gotta believe. But of course, they were talking about a screensaver, so that's a little different belief system. But what about you?
Well, you saw that one sighting in the Panhandle. No, I didn't.
That was you? That's not even in the Southwest Texas Panhandle, man. Come on, you don't get that far out of the country.
If 1/10 of these 80,000 on this United States map
That's a good point.
were true, I'm pretty sure we would have caught one on a cell phone by now.
Yeah.
Or like somebody would have shot one and like pulled it out and been like, "Look, here it is."
Well, first of all the locations, the gun to people ratio has got to be off the charts because. Except in California is really, it's interesting, but I'll get to that in a second. But continuing on here, the origin name of Bigfoot. I don't know why I have to go into this any deeper, but the first grizzly bear was called Bigfoot. Was reportedly killed near Fresno. I didn't know there were any city-dwelling Bigfoot marauding grizzly bears. 1895. I guess that's before they got really urbanized. So, but he did kill 15 sheep. And his weight was estimated at 2,000 pounds. So, I mean, you got to take him out. But the second one was active in Idaho in the 1890s and 1900s between the Snake and Salmon Rivers. And supernatural powers were attributed to it. Why does it take supernatural powers to explain what is most likely a bear or a gorilla? I mean, doesn't it just take an encyclopedia back in they had them in the 1890s. Supernatural powers, that's what it took to explain this thing away. I don't know. But so I guess this is maybe a news excerpt. Nearly twice the size of an ordinary. Actually, I don't know how they talked back in the 1890s, but it wasn't English. Nearly twice the size of an ordinary grizzly. Bigfoot for years has levied his tribute of prime steers, and no one has been found brave enough or clever enough to catch or kill him. They weren't too bright in the 1890s if nobody was brave enough or clever enough to catch a 2,000-pound gorilla that was over 6 feet tall. You can't find him with a single. Go ahead.
You'd think one of these would just die of old age out somewhere and you'd see it.
I don't know. I think it's like, that is a good point, but I don't know. Maybe they make it like a cocoon or something, and because they're so smart. Or I don't know. Maybe they're cannibal. Maybe they eat each other. I bet that's what it is. They eat each other because you know what a bear does in the woods. So but with a single blow of his giant paw, he kills the largest and best animal he can find, and usually takes the pick of a herd. He makes a single meal of the animal, and is usually a meal that would provide a camp full of men for a week, and disappear, never to return to that locality again that season. So I guess there's a Bigfoot season?
Yeah, didn't they just pass a law somewhere that
I think so. We need to pull that up.
state just passed the Bigfoot season?
What do you think the bag limit is?
It'd be awesome if it's not year round. If it's like November 2nd through Thanksgiving.
So this is right next door, Landon. This is in Oklahoma.
Oh, it's Oklahoma. That's right.
Oklahoma may soon have an official Bigfoot hunting season and a $25,000 prize for catching it. That's all. That is all. $25,000. One of the most famous myths or folklore tales that's ever been told, and you're getting a measly 25 large. Come on, man. So
and isn't having an ear of corn with an odd number around of kernels, isn't it worth more than that?
Yeah, I would think so. But yeah, it would be worth something. But so yeah, this article out of Travel and Leisure says, "Love a good conspiracy theory? Oklahoma is looking for you." Does this make Oklahoma look good or bad?
Doesn't make them look good.
It doesn't make them look good. Well, So an Oklahoma representative introduced a new bill, and it sounds like I've got a Bigfoot upstairs, but it's just a 9-year-old boy. Introduced a new bill to the state legislature in attempt to open up licenses for Bigfoot hunting season. Yes, for real. They don't have a whole lot going on in Oklahoma, in the capital city of Oklahoma City, do they?
Is that like right next to your duck stamp?
I don't. Do you think you get it? I think you get a foot stamp or something, don't you? Imagine carrying that thing around. So would you have to tag a Bigfoot? How would you? What do you think? Okay.
You have to tag him on his foot.
What would it take to take a Bigfoot down? You think? Would it take a 37 mag?
Yeah,
you think
maybe you might be able to get one down with a 270 if you hit him just right, but I wouldn't want to risk it.
Now, do you think they're more related to bears or gorillas? Because they walk upright all the time.
I'd say gorillas.
Okay. So, the reason I ask is because if they were closely related to bears, we all know that if you don't shoot a bear in the head, they can stay alive for how long because their heart beats so slow.
Yeah, look at that one in the Great Outdoors where I shot him in the ass.
I think that was a fake.
That's one of the best moments in movie history.
In camping movie history. Yeah, movie history. But, you don't think it'd take like a 30-06 or something?
Oh, that would do it. If it's...
What's bigger?
6, 7 mag.
7 mag.
Those
That's
are pretty similar.
Similar, okay. Lots of knockdown. Yeah.
Maybe a 270 if you hit him just right, but...
What would determine hitting him right? Where do you shoot him at? Head shot? Chest shot?
Chest, head.
Okay.
Chest and above.
Wonder how much. I wonder how much meat is on a Bigfoot.
Nobody knows.
Do you remember the Bigfoot pizza at Pizza Hut? It was a long rectangular one. Remember that?
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
Oh man, that was man. If they brought Bigfoot to youth night, man. Oh god.
Little Caesar, or was that Pizza Hut?
Pizza Hut.
Okay.
Yeah, oh yeah, Pizza Hut. No, we didn't have Little Caesars back then. Yeah, I mean that was the
Yeah.
Bigfoot. So I can't remember if there was a movie that was kind of they were promoting alongside that, but I remember it was like a bigger than a large pizza because it was, I don't know. It's America, so we measure our food in feet. So it was 3 feet long and 2 feet wide. Bigfoot pizza, and that's when you got your what was the your book it pin. If you read so many books at school, you got to go get stickers on it and you get a free personal pan pizza. Man, that was the bitchinest thing. And they had that freaking, you got your own deep dish cast iron skillet to go with it, to eat out of. It felt like you were in Chicago or whatever. Man, it was great. But I digress again. So this representative said, do you think this is a Democrat or a Republican?
Hang on. Say that again.
Democrat
I was
or
watching the
Republican
Bigfoot.
representative that's introducing this bill?
With hunting, I'd go with the Republican.
Okay, let's see. Survey says Republican. I don't think there are any Democrats in Oklahoma, to be honest with you. They're redder than Texas. But he says a lot of people don't believe in Bigfoot, but a lot of people do. Man, I don't know who this guy's speechwriter is, but he probably came up with the name Bigfoot all by himself. Humphrey said in a statement explaining the licenses would be regulated by the Oklahoma Wildlife Conservation Commission and the Sci-Fi Channel. There would be set dates for hunting the mythical creature, just as there are other wildlife. You think they would hunt Bigfoot like on January 32nd and December the 11th? And I mean, what days are they gonna? You think it's just like a weekend deal, like antelope or something? But he says, I have been in the woods all of my life, and I have never, ever seen any sign of Bigfoot. I have never heard of Bigfoot, but I have some people that I know that are good, solid people who I will guarantee you 100% have said they have had an experience with Bigfoot. Now, that is a little questionable. They didn't say they saw Bigfoot. They said they have had an experience with Bigfoot. So right there off the bat, I don't know who this guy's hanging out with, but he continues on saying, so I know there are people out there that you will not convince that Bigfoot doesn't exist. There's like 15 negatives in that sentence I could not keep track of. While Humphrey's idea may seem silly, he says, it could attract many more visitors to the state. So there you go. It's all about a tourism grab.
Yeah.
Trying to get a bunch of weirdos to come hunt Bigfoot.
Can you imagine that in 2021 we're giving out licenses to hunt mythical creatures?
Absolutely. I absolutely believe it, Landon. There's nothing I don't believe anymore. I am not surprised by anything. Bigfoot.
Oh, that is awesome.
Bigfoot hunting licenses. Do you think I'm sure there's a Loch Ness Monster license. I don't know what the regulations and licensing is over in the Green Isles or what. I can't remember if that's Ireland or wherever it's at, but
Nessie, our underwater ally.
our underwater ally.
We can't hunt her.
But the thing is, see, the difference between Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster is, so when was the first? There's not like multiple sightings of the Loch Ness Monster. Isn't it just the Loch Ness Monster? It's not like there's a Bigfoot here, there's another Bigfoot. It's not like a family of Loch Ness Monsters. I think it's like one immortal underwater sea creature that's always out of focus. So this guy
See how many sightings of this monster.
Okay, you look at that. Well, so let's see if we can cover anything else here. So some alleged behaviors. Oh my God, they've got a scientific name for it. Oh no, I guess this is a scientific name. I don't know if it's species, genus, or whatever it is, but they think he might originate from the relicet population of Gigantopithecus. I figured it'd be like Gigantophutus or something, but no. So they have a fossil jaw of the extinct primate Gigantopithecus blackie. That's what it says. So that's the most scientific thing I can find here is that, Jane Goodall got in on it. But that's the most scientific thing I've gotten out of this is maybe it's a ancestor, or it's a descendant of the primate family before Homo sapiens got here. So whatever the case, it's oh yeah, man, you get on Wikipedia and it goes for pages and pages and pages, man. So I don't know. So yeah, like here's a tongue-in-cheek sign warning, a tongue-in-cheek sign warning of Bigfoot crossings on Pikes Peak Highway in Colorado. Now I've been to Pikes Peak, and I never saw any Bigfoot. Now this sign, if you get on Wikipedia and look at it, it looks just like that Harry from Harry and the Hendersons. So I'm pretty sure they stole that trademark picture. And of course, some of the other names for it is Sasquatch, the Yeti. Oh, well, here you go, Harry and the Hendersons. Fearsome Critters, the Dewey Lake Monster. And here's some, yeah, I just got a notice on my phone here that Bigfoot's in the area. But there's actually some Bigfoot organizations. And the oldest and largest is the Bigfoot Losers of Northeastern Oregon. And no, this is the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization. They also provide a free database to individuals and other organizations. Their website includes reports from across North America that have been investigated by researchers to determine credibility. Another includes the North American Wood Ape Conservancy. Wood ape, which prefers to refer to the creature as the North American wood ape. Other similar organizations exist through many U.S. states, and most often and most probably they serve punch and stale off-brand Oreo cookies at their mixers. So, in February 2016, to top this off of the organizations, the University of New Mexico at Gallup held a 2-day Bigfoot conference at a cost of $7,000 in university funds because the math department just isn't important anymore. So, okay, so we finished that up. Let's get over to the map. Now, Landon, what's the first thing you notice about this map of Bigfoot sightings?
Even when it comes to Bigfoot in Nebraska, you still have to drive like multiple hours to have a shot at seeing more than one.
That is absolutely right. Even Bigfoot wouldn't step their happy ass in the Nebraska Panhandle. The only person that'll live there is Casey Seymour. So, yeah, so Bigfoot likes the trees, and maybe that's because he must be, and you know what's interesting here is there ain't one sighting in Mexico. I mean, literally the border stops any Bigfoot sightings.
I don't know. It looks like there's one just north of Sonora.
Just north of Sonora, but that's still in Arizona, man. There ain't no Mexican Bigfoots walking around. So, there's even so they've got one out there west of Vancouver. It looks like it's out in the water, but I'm sure that's probably an island of some sort. At least I hope so. And, yeah, could be. What's the scary thing is the icon of the Bigfoot is actually bigger than the island that was sighted on. So, take that for what it's. Now, what I'm really surprised at is the lack of sightings in Nevada. I mean, ain't that where Area 51 is? I mean, there's one in Vegas. And it looks like there's one maybe up in Reno. And those are the only 2 sightings in Nevada.
Vegas is, they're pretty, they kind of stick to that. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
I guess so, man. They just tight-lipped. So, so if you also pull this map up, if you draw a line, I mean, it starts before you get to the Mississippi as you're going east. But there's been one sighting in Amarillo. I don't know where that is. Or I don't know where that would have been in Amarillo, if that was at the Cadillac Ranch or Midnight Rodeo or... And then there's another sighting up in Stinnett, it looks like. And this is the guy that circled it. And then it looks like maybe there's a couple sightings in Raiderland. And this is also surprising, not any sightings at... Unless this one is Roswell. This looks too far east or west to be Roswell over in New Mexico.
Yeah.
But once you get into eastern Oklahoma... Louisiana, you can't walk through Louisiana without seeing a Bigfoot. I mean, it is pure Bigfoot sightings. The only thing more dense than that is Florida. And I mean, let's be honest. Who's surprised about that? Half the people in Florida look like Bigfoot. So, I mean...
I'm surprised there's not more in Montana. I mean, all those mountains, you think...
Well, it's true. It's true. Maybe they're too busy working cattle or something. I don't know. But obviously, so the thickest parts... are all along the West Coast, and it looks like in California they stick to the valley or the coastline because you go right, if you draw a line right down kind of, I don't know how you say it, if you go up and down through California towards the southeast a little bit, it's open. There is no open. There are no Bigfoot sightings there. It's all either on the west side of California or on the east side of California. And I guess maybe they have restraining orders. They can't go into Nevada because, I mean, that freaking state line is a wall against Bigfoot. But if once you get over on the East Coast, it's kind of funny. Maybe they outlawed Bigfoot in Georgia because there is a huge empty spot right north of Florida. And it's just like, again, it looks like they have some kind of restraining order. They can't get within like 500 miles of Atlanta because, I mean, there is a big buffer zone. But now once you get up in Virginia, West Virginia, it's a lot like Louisiana. You can't walk through that place without meeting a Bigfoot, getting put in a foursome with a Bigfoot. There's just no way around seeing Sasquatch. And I'm surprised Canada, maybe it's just too cold in Canada because there's sightings up there. And I know Canada's covered in trees as well, except for the plains, obviously, but very few sightings up there. So, and we don't have Alaska on this map, but I can't help but assume that Alaska has got lots and lots of Bigfoot sightings because, I mean, really, what else are you going to do in Alaska? So it's an interesting deal. But so Alabama's really thick. Parts of Minnesota are fairly thick, but man, I would say, actually, I take that back. The most dense is Louisiana and Virginia, eastern Tennessee, and all of West Virginia and most of Virginia. So it's pretty interesting to see. So what does this tell you, Landon? What does this map tell you? Does it tell you anything about the people, or is it more of an environmental thing? What are we looking at here?
I think if you go if you just split the United States from top to bottom, that's where the most more people with common sense probably are.
Yeah, I mean, basically all of the Great Plains. And again, this might completely just have to do with the lack of trees in the plains, because I mean that's why we're the plains. We have no trees. But Wyoming has a lot of trees in the mountains. Montana does. And New Mexico, they don't go south of Taos. So, I mean, that's interesting. And I know the mountains go all the way down to Ruidoso. But I don't know, man. Maybe they got better weed than we do. I mean, it's hard to say at this point. But so we're going to pull over this other map. So it's kind of interesting how the map that says the geographic distribution of American black bears in North America, I don't want to say is somewhat identical, but I'm going to say it's extremely identical to the Bigfoot sighting map that just is on the previous page, because there are no black bears in any of the places where there are no Bigfoot sightings. I'm not a big logic guy. I didn't do well in logic class. As a matter of fact, I didn't even take a logic class, but I'm saying that 2 and 2 have got something together, because there are no black bears in Nevada. And there are no black bears in North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, eastern Colorado, all of Oklahoma, and most of Texas. So going back to our Bigfoot map, there are very few sightings in North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, western Kansas, eastern Colorado, and most of Texas, and none of Nevada. Let's see, what about Georgia? So the only thing that blows a hole in my theory here is the Georgia map. All of Georgia has seen a distribution of American black bears. So I don't know. Maybe they're just not reporting them there. But whatever the case, you put 2 and 2 together, you're going to figure something out. So yeah.
Again, though, we have pictures of actual black bears.
Yeah. Well, apparently.
So you would think that if Bigfoot existed, we might have an actual picture of him.
Well, allegedly we do. They're just always out of focus and in black and white. I don't know what that is. Can't these people get some high-speed cameras so he's not a blur when he's walking by?
My favorite is the YouTube videos of Bigfoot that have come out here recently. Like, these guys go to hike in the woods, and within 3 minutes they spot Bigfoot.
It's almost like that was on purpose.
Yeah. You think
funny.
You'd have 3.5 days worth of footage to go through.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the Blair Witch Project. I mean, come on. They're in the first night, they get assaulted by some kind of witch ghost or something. It's like watching a cooking show. They've got all these raw ingredients, and before the end of the program, they've got an entire Thanksgiving dinner already made up. Woo, it's almost like it.
Here's your tiramisu.
Yeah. Here's your 18-hour slow roasted pork ribs. You know, it's like wasn't that hog just squeaking about 10 minutes ago before the commercial break? You've already got him an apple in his mouth, and you're pulling him out of the oven. I don't know, some kind of a voodoo going on right there. So I don't know. It's an interesting topic to say the least. But so if you saw Bigfoot, do you think you'd be scared or like interested? I mean, because okay, so we don't have Bigfoot sightings not in the Midwest, but in the Great Plains, Central Plains, Southern Plains. We film tornadoes, so maybe a tornado doesn't scare us. Really, Bigfoot. Okay, here's a good question. I think it's a good question. Where would a Bigfoot live in the Great Plains?
I'd say, man, that's a good question.
Like what kind of? I mean, there are caves here and there. I mean, they're hard to come by.
I mean, like you go around like Turkey, Texas, and Kitty Quay. Like you have some little canyons and stuff.
Yeah,
Powder Canyon. You think somebody'd see him down there?
I was fixing to say Powder. Yeah, you beat me to it. Powder Canyon. Let's see.
Wouldn't that be a good monument for Powder Canyon? You got the lighthouse, and you got these other things you can go see. You got the Bigfoot sighting.
I think they need to at least put up some warning signs for it, just to bring in some tourists. I mean, come on, Oklahoma's passing a bill for a Bigfoot season. So, I'm thinking Bigfoot season. It's probably going to be a little bit more drinking and a little less shooting. At least I hope so, because.
I wonder what Bigfoot droppings look like.
You think he's a vegetarian?
I thought he killed animals.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well, so is he only a carnivore or is he an omnivore?
He's probably both. He probably watches his. He's got to stay in some kind of shape to evade everybody.
That's true. So I mean,
be this fat slob.
It lends to the question: does a Bigfoot shit in the woods? I mean. Obviously, they have to.
Privacy.
Obviously, they don't do it in the pasture and in the prairies of the Great Plains, so we know it's got to be. I don't know. I've never really contemplated what Bigfoot droppings is. I would think it'd have to be pretty healthy. Well, now, I don't know if I said this earlier, but when I was reading about the bio of Bigfoot, but I did say not only were they hairy, they had a foul odor. So no closer than anybody's gotten to a Bigfoot. These some bitches must stink like shit, because if they can smell them from that far off, I mean, they've got quite an odor to them.
I wonder if there's people that lead guided hunts. What it would take to be a Bigfoot guide? Guys, we're close. I smell him.
So it's got to be you got to be one hell of a salesman to be able to lead a hunt on something that's never been seen for real.
If you were hunting Bigfoot, how would you attract him?
Well, I mean, I don't like deer urine or something, or Bigfoot urine. I don't know. I don't know how you get a Bigfoot to take a leak on you, but they got to hold still enough. That's a good question. It's like nobody's ever said what they sound like, so there wouldn't be like a Bigfoot call.
Yeah, you don't like rattle the antlers together.
Yeah, here, let's see here. Yeah.
Wonder what kind of call a female Bigfoot makes.
What's the mating call of Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This here is the sound of a Bigfoot with very blue balls.
The
blue ball Bigfoot
the
call.
blue ball. It's like you got, what is it? The baboon, blue ass baboon or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Here's the blue ball Bigfoot.
The blue ball Bigfoot shriek.
Yeah. Ah! I don't know. You think Bigfoot dudes cock block each other on a female Bigfoot? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother one. But let's see. Another extinct hominid that they think they might have descended from is the Paranthropus robustus. More like robustus, a blue nut there, but with its gorilla-like crested skull and bipedal gait. So, despite the fact that fossils of Paranthropus are found only in Africa, so that kind of blows that out of the water. We didn't even look into see about international Bigfoot sightings other than Canada, because we know they already Side. Man, I can type pretty fast now. Of big. 10 most
Bigfoot
convincing.
in the UK.
Okay, yeah. Again, these are all American. Oh, here we go. AKA Bigfoot World Map. Oh yeah, mostly it's pretty heavy in India. Oh no, never mind. I'm zooming in. I would say America per cap. There was been one in Greenland, and even one in Australia. Some in New Zealand. America still kind of takes the Bigfoot cake there. I'm surprised the middle, none in the Middle East, but India and a few in China. So we're not the only ones. I don't think any in Europe. One in Spain, maybe one in. I'm surprised there's not more in England, to be honest, because they're all about kind of freaky looking things in the UK. I bet their teeth ain't worth a shit, but whatever the case, it's a sad state of affairs sometimes when you see. I would say it doesn't have. I mean, like sub-Saharan Africa, there's 2. One in South Africa, none in. They don't like hot places because they're not in Nevada. They're not in the Texas Panhandle. It's all. I guess they kind of like that forest swamp ass type. Where it's not hot, but it's really humid, and I guess they.
I really want to hear the story between these 3 or 4 around Lubbock between Amarillo and Stinnett. I'd like to hear.
I would too. Well, maybe we can get them on the phone next week. I don't know. We may have to have a interview of the sightings of Bigfoot.
If you listen to this podcast and you've seen Bigfoot in the Texas Panhandle, please give us a call.
That's Landon Nolan 806. Please give us a call. We would love to talk to you if you had any Lubbock. I mean, if it's between 34th and 50th in Indiana and Quaker, give us a call, man, because that is that's a square of Bigfoot sightings.
If we had an interview with somebody that's seen Bigfoot in Texas, we'd get so many listens.
Oh man, we'd get tens of listens, man. We get maybe dozens. But yeah. So I just pulled up a picture of this representative. He's got the straw hat and the bolo tie, man. Nice. And he's only 54 years old. Of course, he's a JJ. I'm surprised he's not Joe Don or. Oh no, that's you.
Okay.
Let's see.
Top 10 most convincing Bigfoot sightings.
Yeah, I ran past that one. They're all pretty intriguing. Just to look up, he worked at the Department of Corrections for 20 years. So that's this representative. So yeah, that makes sure that kind of explains some of it because he probably saw some wild stuff in there. Do you think he went on a Bigfoot platform? Like that was his central issue? Or do you think he pulled that on the voters after he got elected?
Definitely after.
I wonder if there's a Bigfoot committee. This guy's quite.
You think if Bigfoot does exist, it would be okay to hunt him?
Well, I don't see why not. They're killing chickens and rabbits and stuff.
I guess so.
Yeah. I don't know. They have those Bigfoot beef jerky commercials, and he's always. Of course, they're giving that poor Bigfoot guy hell. Those
he's
dudes
pretty
are
well justified.
Yeah, I would be popping knots on heads if I was Bigfoot in those beef jerky commercials. It's I'd be put in a pretty sour mood. Pretty sour mood indeed. Well, guys, I think we've covered some Bigfoot. We've covered the Bigfoot. I don't know, HR. What is it? HR. Whatever bill it is, but whatever the case is. Let's see. Does he have a HR on it? House resolution. Maybe it's just like maybe he's asking for like a unanimous consent or something like that. I don't know. Of course, we know this is probably just an all tourism and kind of play here, but nonetheless, well, guys, thanks for listening. We're gonna get out of here. We're actually starting to farm again. We're getting some all kinds of great manure and fertilizer spread out. It smells like it. Well, it smells like it does every day outside. So, getting all that done, and so we're gonna bring these huge crops into the Hereford Grain Corporation, and they can like pay us $30 a bushel or whatever that chick on TV said here a couple weeks ago. But well, no, that was soybeans. $18 for corn. Landon, what would Hereford grain do? That would be a hell of a dividend, wouldn't it?
It'd be pretty stout.
It'd be pretty stout. I would look forward to it. You'd have farmers showing up to the annual meeting, and what would we whore ourselves in with, like complete gold-plated navigators, all kinds of stuff, man. That would be so awesome. But
Would be.
I don't really see it happening. Well, guys, thanks for listening. Landon, as always, thanks for joining. I don't know why I say you're joining. You are the podcast, part of the podcast. I don't know why you don't join. You're here. So maybe we'll get on somebody to join us next week. And by the way, if you do have a Bigfoot sighting, please give us a shout at Trader Brent or at No Twit Landing 44. And until next time, we'll ask you, what side of the line are you on?
The Dryline Farmer Podcast, a member of the Global Ag Network. There's podcasts, and then there's this, the Dryline Farmer Podcast.